I just want to say that I stand before you this morning to announce a very important and very beautiful, I think, development for our freedom and our freedom of speech, and that goes to all Americans. Today, in conjunction with the America First Policy Institute, I'm filing as the lead class representative a major class action lawsuit against the big tech giants, including Facebook, Google, and Twitter, as well as their CEOs, Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai, and Jack Dorsey. Three real nice guys.
He has now said he is suing all of these big companies, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and this lawsuit is dead on arrival. So let me be very clear about what the former president of the United States is doing. I'm from Glenwood Road, so I peep game all the time. He's using this as an opportunity to become the great catalyst for his presidential run. That is all he's doing. He knows that this lawsuit goes nowhere. His attorneys are well aware that this lawsuit will go nowhere. Why? Because one, Trump does not want to subject himself to discovery, where he actually has to hand over information and testify to certain things. He doesn't want to do that. He will never get to that point. They're not claiming a specific amount of damages. As a matter of fact, Trump said trillions of dollars, because it is a phony lawsuit. And they're filing it as a class action lawsuit, claiming that this is about conservative voices. So let's go to some of the background. Trump, who has filed this lawsuit in the US District Court of the Southern District of Florida, was suspended from the platforms since January, when his followers violently stormed the Capitol building, trying to block Congress from certifying Joe Biden's presidential win. The company cited concerns that Trump would incite further violence and have kept him locked out. All three declined comment Wednesday. So he's saying that all conservatives in this class action lawsuit have been constitutionally violated by these private companies. But here's what's interesting. Posts by conservative commentators like Ben Shapiro, Franklin Graham, and others, they're still there. These people are still active on those social media platforms. Here's the big problem, okay? Here's the big challenge. Donald Trump can actually win this lawsuit, but there's one small thing that gets in its way. It's called the United States Constitution. The First Amendment of the US Constitution says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That is the actual Constitution. The amendment was included in the original document. It says that Congress shall make no prohibition to that freedom of speech, shall not abridge that freedom of speech. And the last time I checked, I'm not a legal scholar. I just finished 1 year of law school. I'm no constitutional expert. I just know how to read. Congress is not Twitter. Congress is not Facebook. Congress is not YouTube. As a matter of fact, based on interpretation of the Supreme Court and other federal courts, private companies have the same rights basically as if somebody stepped in your home. And if somebody stepped in your home and they started bumping their gums, talking jazz that you don't like, you can tell them to get the hell out your house. That's how courts have typically interpreted the right of private companies to say, here's what we will accept at this company, here's what we will not accept. So why is the lawsuit being filed? It is propaganda, it is PR, it is the new great evil that they are creating, because this is a win-win situation for Trump. Trump only likes win-win situations. If he wins the suit, let's say in La La Land, he won the suit, okay, that's a win. But he will lose the suit, but he will claim a victory, saying that because of him, policies are changing. He's going to raise a bunch of money in the process. He's not going to spend that money on the legal case. He's going to parlay that money into his presidential run, or maybe give some of it to a few of the cronies that are going to back him, and they are running as well. That is what this is about. To break this down and more, I have the big homie, David Shuster, my brother. How you doing, man?
Dr. Richey, I am so honored, excuse me, I'm so honored to be on your show. I love what you're doing. I love the successes you've had, and it is great to be on with you, so thank you.
Man, the feeling is quite mutual, and I appreciate you being on Indisputable. It is a high honor. Let's talk about what Trump and his legal team are proposing. Is this something that holds weight or not?
Well, I think your analysis is spot on. First of all, the politics, it's smart for Donald Trump, right? Because he can say, hey, this is another grievance. This is another time where I've somehow been discriminated against and conservatives are being hurt by big tech. And even though that's not true, as you pointed out, Dinesh D'Souza, Ben Shapiro, a whole bunch of others are all over the place on Facebook and YouTube and the rest. But Donald Trump can play to his base and say, look, woe is me, they're hurting us, they hate you, we're all in this together, so let's go get big tech. And it's smart politically, it gets him a lot of headlines, it gets him in the news, which is something that he wants. On the legal analysis, you're also spot on, because private businesses can set their own rules. There's no First Amendment right to speak out in a private business. And so it's only the government that can say, hey, it's only the government that we're trying to keep from blocking your free speech. Facebook, Twitter, social media. If you want to get on an airplane, you don't want to wear a mask. Well, those businesses have the right to issue certain restrictions. The only possibility I could see in one scenario here would be as if Donald Trump was somehow able to show that he was discriminated against, because there are others, say, on the left who have repeatedly violated the Twitter or the Facebook or the YouTube terms of service, say have called for assassinations or violence, and that social media did not take actions against them. And Donald Trump could somehow prove that this is only because, well, they're Democrats and I'm a Republican, therefore they're coming after me. But I don't see that evidence out there. And so I think you're right, this lawsuit is dead on arrival. It's total nonsense from a legal point of view, but it does make sense politically.
You know, there was a time in Donald Trump's political career, not too long ago, where he could make breaking news in the middle of the day with one tweet. That power has been taken away from him because he abused it. And frankly, I'm glad they took his account away. I'm actually not a big supporter of eliminating these accounts for a practical reason. David, I really believe you need to track these individuals. You have to know exactly what they're thinking and how they're talking. Now, governments have figured out a way to still infiltrate many of these groups, especially these white supremacist groups, because they have been forced underground, so they have other mechanisms to connect and to follow them. But Donald Trump was being so insanely aggressive and irresponsible with his tweets and his rhetoric. I thought it was only the proper thing to do to suspend him from these platforms. And think about this. Do you think it was going to get worse or better after he was president of the United States? While he was president, there was a level of restriction, even though it seemed to be off the rails even then, there was a level of restriction there that would not exist after his presidency.
Look, I hear you on both points. First of all, I agree. I think that sunlight is the best disinfectant, and I'd rather have everything out in the open and everybody be able to say whatever they want so we can all say, hey, look at what they're saying. But Donald Trump, you're right, was in such a unique position with his more than 50 million followers on Twitter and Facebook. I mean, nobody else has that kind of platform or had that kind of platform in social media. So I don't think you can say, oh, well, Donald Trump is just like everybody else, when he is calling for armed insurrection, when he is encouraging people to deny the election results, when he's talking about a coup, an overthrow of the government, he is uniquely positioned to get so many millions of Americans riled up over that, so many millions of Americans who maybe just don't know better or follow Donald Trump blindly. And so I do think there's a certain responsibility that government, that institutions, that private businesses have to make sure that those people who are unique in our society, who have unbelievable followers and sway over people, that to try to make sure that those statements from them, whether it's online, whether it's on Twitter, that those do fall within the terms of service, the rules, and that you're not encouraging violence, which is what Donald Trump was doing.
You made a great point about the one possible caveat is the unequal enforcement clause, where they can prove, hey, this person said this, they were not suspended from the platform. My person said this and they were suspended from the platform. But I think the argument, one, has to be made about his influence. Everyone does not have the kind of following that Trump has. So that means there's a different level of actual impact. And these are very, very massive companies with a lot of people interaction. If you look close enough, David, you're going to find some unequal application. Hell, I've been suspended from Facebook, and I know somebody that's a friend of mine did the same thing, and they did not get suspended from Facebook. We've all been to Facebook jail or should have been in Facebook jail at some point, right? So there's this unequal application because they can't catch everything. However, the impact of Donald Trump must be weighed into the decision. But I don't think it goes that far. And here's why I don't think they're going to make that argument. I don't think any of these attorneys want to actually proceed with a real legal case. They don't want to get into actual litigation because it opens Donald Trump up to discovery. And if they attempt to play with discovery, they can be in contempt of the actual federal judicial proceeding. And I don't think they want to open their guy up to that kind of liability.
Oh, I've heard from some folks out there who say, you know what? I hope this does not get thrown out, because can you imagine the attorneys for Facebook, for YouTube, for all the rest, having the opportunity to cross-examine Donald Trump under oath in a deposition? I mean, that would be a gold mine. And so I know a lot of people, a lot of lawyers would love to do that. And I think for that very reason, you're right, this is gonna end much sooner than Donald Trump could ever be in some sort of deposition, ever having to face questions or allowing the social media giants to thumb through all of his various records and material that they would be entitled to under discovery in this deposition or in this lawsuit.
Yeah, so if the judge is anti-Trump, the judge will allow this to move forward as is. That's what will happen.